We'll start our session by paying our obeisances to His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya for ISKCON. So we are in our journey to chapter 7, and today we'll be wrapping up chapter 7. And like we discussed last time, we have, with the end of chapter 6, we have completed the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which falls under, Karma Yoga, right? And we stepped into last week, Bhakti Yoga, which is the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, right? And we started with our 7th chapter, which titles The Knowledge of the Absolute, right? Now, we learned, what is absolute, right? Can somebody say what is absolute?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Absolute truth is like it will like never we can never say like it is not there. Like this apartment today it will be there. After 100 years it may not be there. Similarly, all our this 14 lokas during annihilation it may not be there. But Krishna is absolute truth, and at any point of time Krishna will be present. That is absolute.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. So that's right. So absolute truth is something which we learn, which can never change, be it in any circumstances, place, time, situation, right? So,
or like as realized knowledge means realization. What is fact? What is true? What is
right, understanding, right?
Yes,
the difference
yes.
between the relative and the absolute, right? What
Yes.
Having that understanding as what is really truth, and truth
Yes.
always is. Yeah, that's. Thank you, Jyoti Madam. So I'm just trying to get rid of this. I don't know what's with the system. I think you can see the notification. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So, yes. So also last week we learned this first 3 sections, right? The glories of this knowledge about Krishna, the knowledge of Krishna's energies, and surrendering, right? Now the whole chapter started with a flow where Krishna highlights in the first verse about hearing, the importance of hearing, right? And how it is the stepping stone for us to get into spirituality, right? And then Krishna mentions to Arjuna in the second shloka that, I will now talk to you about full knowledge, right? What that full knowledge was, that Krishna was talking about the knowledge, that full knowledge is knowing about Krishna, who is Krishna, knowing that our position, this material world, and our relationship with that, right? So he divided this into 2 kinds of energy, right? He explained about 2, spiritual energy and material energy. And then he spoke about knowledge, right? So knowledge can also be divided into 2. One is phenomenal and one is numinous. And this is very important for us to understand, and that's why I'm just revising this. Now, phenomenal knowledge, which Krishna mentioned, was jnana, right? Which is the theoretical knowledge. Yeah. Now, it is also referred as Aishwarya, jnana, right? It shows Krishna's greatness, that he's all pervasive. We learned that later, right? But numinous, which is the second kind, it is called as Vijnana, also known as Vijnana. Yeah? So it is a practical knowledge, right? That Krishna is a person and he reciprocates, understanding his sweetness. We saw the examples of how, there are several examples, right? For Pandavas, Krishna, for example, he's such a Bhakta Vatsalya that he went to the level of being a driver, right? Chariot driver for Arjuna. And that shows his sweetness. He can do anything for his devotees, and then Krishna, talks how when you understand this jnana and vijnana about him, then you will know him. everything. You know everything. Because, and then he talks how Manushyanam sahasreshu kashchid yatati siddhay yatatam api siddhanam kashchid mameti tattvataha. Only some understand my reality, this sweetness, right? And then he talks about his jnana, right, which is his energies. So we spoke about 8 elements, how our body is made up of matter, gross and subtle. The gross are, can somebody tell me what are the gross elements? By now we should be very clear about this. What are the gross elements our body is made up of? 5 gross elements.
Yes, like sun, air, what?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Water. Yeah.
Yeah.
So earth, fire.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Fire. Yeah.
Earth, fire, water, ether,
and air. Yeah. And the 3 subtle elements, very important. We have been talking whole Gita about how to control. What are the 3 subtle elements?
Mind, soul.
Mind. What was the other one? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Soul. Atma.
So soul is covered by subtle and gross elements. Soul is spiritual, right?
Okay.
So subtle is mind, yes.
Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara in Tamil.
Yes. So Mano, Buddhi and Ahankara. Mind, intelligence and ego. Right? So these are the 3. Thank you. Great. So now, Krishna spoke about this and how he describes that he is all pervasive. Be it the smell of earth, as simple as the taste of water, right? The heat of the sun, everything, he is everywhere. He's all pervasive and he's the essence of everything. The examples are really great. Our intelligence, our ability, even to talk, right? Everything is coming from Krishna, right? So, and then Krishna states that, how doing this all, still, jivas are under delusion, right? They are under delusion and they don't understand Krishna. Why? Because they are deluded by material modes. And we saw one of the most important verses, 7.14, where Devihi Yashagunamahi Mamamaya Durittaya. Yeah? So Krishna says that this material nature is very difficult to overcome. Yeah, and the only way you can overcome this is by surrendering to Krishna. Yeah, and then we learned about the 4 types of people who surrender and 4 types of people who don't. Right? So, and then in the end, we learned how Bahunam Janmanamante, right? That shloka. Again, very important shloka. Nyanvan mam prapadyante Vasudevam sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlabha. After, there are, it's out of thousands of men, after thousands of births. Yeah, Bahunam Janmanamante. Yeah. So only, few people come to the stage where, Vasudevam Sarvamiti, to know that Krishna is everything, essence of everything, all purpose, everything. Yeah. Sa Mahatma Su Durlabha. Such a Mahatma is Durlabha, unfortunately very rare. Yeah. So that is where we stop. Now we are going to cover the last 11 shlokas today, which steps into a very interesting piece. I think we hear from people, we ourselves must have gone through this, which is demigod worship and impersonalism. And, how Krishna eventually, from delusion of Maya, how to get into devotion. Yeah, stepping into devotion. So we'll start today by demigod worship and impersonalism. So Krishna explained before that who surrenders to him, right? 4 classes of people who surrender to him. Now, then he explained 4 classes of people who can never surrender, right? Now, what about those set of people who surrender but not to Krishna? Where do they go? Whom do they surrender? So that is where this topic is coming in. Krishna is highlighting, there are few set of people who surrender, but not to Krishna, but they surrender to demigods. or impersonalism. Yeah, we saw how actually we saw in those four class of people that even when you are distressed, people are distressed, people are desiring material opulence like wealth, even those surrender to Krishna, right? But here, why then, some few class of people surrender to demigods? What happens if they surrender to devtas, right? Why do they surrender to devtas when surrendering to Krishna also relieves your desires, distress, all of that? Yeah. So Krishna explains in next four verses about this, overall. Now, I will maybe, Jyoti Mataji, will you be able to read this?
Yes. कामस्त अर्थज्ञाना प्रबंधन्ते देवता तत्तन्यम मास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्व्या. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulation of worship according to their own nature. Bhagavad Gita 7.20. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So, kamaishtair ritadhyana. This word is very important. Yeah. Ritadhyana means the intelligence, dhyana is rita, stolen. Okay. Now, stolen by what? By material desires. Right? So, this class of people, their intelligence, Krishna is calling them, they have low intelligence. Their intelligence is stolen. Right? Now, these material desires, what are these? These are nothing but, we learned about lust, right? Now, lust is nothing but that extensive hankering, attachment to get something, right? Does anyone remember where does the lust sit? What are the three sitting places of lust? Krishna gave us the location in third chapter. Three sitting places of lust. And if we control those three, we saw a horse chariot, from Katha Upanishad, that shloka, where the horse driver, does anybody remember? We have to remember this because only then we will be able to conquer lust. Okay, so lust.
If I can remember or I can understand means of lust, so like don't we expect a lot of things, control our mind, control our thoughts. So yeah,
Where does it sit? Right, that is the gist, right? That we have to do it. But we learned that when we are attacking some country, like we saw that there are movies where they see enemy locations, so they find first where are the enemy located, right? What are the locations so that we can hit it right?
Sense organs.
Reshma Mataji?
Sense organs.
Senses, correct. Senses.
Mind, intelligence.
Very good. Senses, mind, and intelligence. These are the three places where lust is sitting, right? Now, this was told by Krishna, right? Now, this class of people, they are extensively attached, right? They are, this is not control. That person, instead of approaching Krishna, they approach others, right? Thinking that they might get a quicker result, right? For example, when we are in a difficult situation, right? Imagine any difficult situation we might be in, and we have two options in front of us, say. We tend to get attracted to the option which is quicker. Let me wrap this up quickly. If this gives me a quick solution, let me just opt for that, rather than the other solution might look, it needs more hard work, more effort, and that might give me a permanent end result. But at that moment, the situation you are in, you tend to get attracted with something which can give you a quick turnaround, and which might not be permanent. It might be staying for some time, but we get attracted to that. Why? Because our mind intelligence is attracted towards fulfilling that desire, which is lust, right? And driving us towards it. So the same thing is with here, our, of course, scriptures say that different demigods, our Vedas say that different demigods are empowered to bestow different material desires, right? For example, we know that for knowledge, we approach Saraswati Devi, right? And then similarly for sense gratification, we approach moon god. For health diseases, we approach sun god. There are some, with sun god. Then for a beautiful wife, they, go to Uma Devi. Similarly, we hear since childhood, I always heard, for a good husband, go to Shiva, right? So we always, Vedas do state this, right? People, that's why people doing demigod worship, the main thing for us to understand is these are as per scripture. They are Sakam Bhaktas. Right? So, why? Because Vedas, we learned this before when we were learning Yoga Ladder. Vedas cater to different class of people. They cannot, it is like a school. It addresses the low intelligent person as well as the medium and the high, right? So Vedas, these cater to needs of different people. So Krishna has given this so that people can at least avoid doing sinful activities, at least do something, but per scriptures, right? And that is the first level. And as you start doing, activities per scripture, that means you are doing, yagna, right? When you are doing all these for different demigods, what are you doing? You're doing different kind of sacrifices. And we learned that these sacrifices, slowly, they purify our heart, right? And that purification is needed for us to go to the next grade, passing from first grade to second grade, second to third, so that eventually we can understand, right? So this is a gradual purification process, right? But, and then, they slowly elevate to the upper ladder, right? So demigod worship is to fulfill sense gratification. But, and in today's world, we see that people are more driven into how to self-engage themselves by doing demigod worship. They are not doing it with their heart, with their, faith. It's more of, getting some entertainment or social status, something like that. For example, if we are doing, there was lot here when I moved to Hyderabad, there was lot for Ganesha festival, right? But, when you are celebrating a festival now, the extent it has become is you put movie songs, during the occasions. It's, or you do some show off of wearing very nice clothes, ornaments, do some puja which is appreciated by everybody, so it's more of that level, right? So the intention to do, they are not really devoted through their heart for demigods, right? So the purpose is overall diluted in today's world, even when it comes to demigod worship. It is not done per scriptures, like it was done, So based on, so overall, that's what Krishna is saying, these are the class of people who are less intelligent, right? Now, with that, Krishna, next shloka, he says, Kavya Mataji, will you be able to read this?
Yes, Madhu. Krishna gives faith and results to demigod worshippers. 7.21. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. 7.22. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, do we remember the three doers cycle? So, we as Jiva desire, then Krishna sanctions, and then material nature executes. We saw this three doer cycle, right? Where we clarified ourselves that we are not the only doer. Along with us, Krishna sanctions it. And we correlated that with an example of a child, asking for chocolate. And it, the child asks the father gives the money, he grants it, right? But to go and get that chocolate from the market, the father assigns a help for him so that the child can go along with the help to get the chocolate. Now the child goes along with the help and gets that. And then eventually, if he claims that he was the only doer, is that right? Right? He got it sanctioned by his father. He got the help, right? So that help is material nature, which works under Krishna. The father is Krishna, right? So he's granting us. So we are not right in saying that we are the only doer. Now, and we just discussed, right, in our overall purification journey, Krishna is so merciful that he can go to any extent to help us, right? So we, with our free will, we wanted to be originally independent of Krishna, right? And that's why still, even though we wanted to be independent of Krishna, Krishna arranged a platform for us. He was so merciful that he made this material world so that, okay, we are trying to be independent from him. We want, so he gave us this material world to come down and to, give us an opportunity to practice right here so that we can get eligible to go back, right? So utilizing this opportunity to bhakti. Now, even after coming here, say we are deluded, we are under delusion, and we see a class of people going to demigod worship. Now Krishna is, one step extra here, right? So he's clearing here that even if somebody desires to worship demigod, who is it who develops the faith in heart? It's Krishna himself. It's Krishna who makes the faith steady for such people who are even worshipping demigod, towards that demigod, right? At least, because why? Because he knows we are stepping into the level, right, where it will help us for gradual purification, right? And with such, he says, endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires, right? We get them fulfilled. Yeah. But Krishna is saying, eventually, who is granting those benefits? Krishna. So it's like we are thinking only the help is the person who is getting us the chocolate, right? We are not seeing the father behind it, who has granted it. Without father's grant, the help wouldn't, right? So, and that's what Krishna, in 18th chapter, eventually he says that sarva dharman parityaje, right? Abandon all the religions and just surrender. Don't, have that vyavasayatmika buddhi, one-pointed intelligence, right? So, so Krishna gives us free will, yes, to choose, right? Like that multiple choice questionnaire. He gives us options, right? Not to confuse us more, but for us to understand, to choose the right. We should know, right? To choose the right. Yeah? We should remember that these fruits which are granted by demigods are temporary, but these are also coming from Krishna only to us. Right? Okay, so with that, we'll move maybe to next shloka, which now talks about demigods itself. So 4 verses talk about, until shloka 24, these talk about demigod worship. Now, maybe Ramaprabha Mataji, will you be able to read shloka?
Antavat tu balam desham tat bhavat yalpa medasham devan deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mam api. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigod go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Bhagavad Gita 7.23.
Thank you. So again, alpa medasam, that word here, alpa medasam, means small intelligence. That's what we have highlighted. Yeah, alpa, small. Yeah, and another word which is important here is that antavat. right? Which it starts with, because that shows that it has an ant, it is temporary. It can get perishable. It is perishable, right? Now, Krishna is clearly stating in this shloka that the results, of got by the demigods are temporary. They're limited and temporary. Limited also is an important thing. So, and such class of people are with small intelligence, right? Who worship demigods, right? And he clarifies here two different planets. Those who worship demigods go to demigod planet, and those who worship Krishna goes to the supreme planet. Even that is important for us to understand. Yeah. Now, when we talk about limited, we know the story of Hiranyakashipu, right? He did a lot of tapasya, and Brahmaji, what he asked Brahmaji was immortality. And then Brahmaji clearly said that I myself am mortal. I'm not, so how can I grant you immortality? So I myself, I have a time frame to live. How can I grant you? Because it is beyond my power. I cannot grant you immortality, that you will never die. So ask me something else. So the grants given by demigod, they cannot give everything. They are limited. Yeah. And then it says temporary also, right? So I think, what happened, Hiranyakashipu, God granted that he gave all his terms and conditions. I don't want, I should not die here, there, up, down at certain level, not by human, not by animal. He put all his terms and conditions. But at the end, who came to save? Narasimha, right? So Krishna has to come to rectify, because sometimes demigod, we have seen the stories of Shivji also, right? He is Ashutosh, right? Very easily pleasable, right? So he also grants with the Vrittasur story. We know that, these demigods grant wish, they become pleased and grant. But at the end, to rectify the mistake, who comes? Krishna has to come as an avatar, right? To save from those demons. Like for Hiranyakashipu, Narasimha, right? And same thing for, we saw that how Krishna also came as Mohini, right, in that way to save, right? So, why? Because these demigods, they get puffed up sometimes as well, with their powers. So we have to, I think it's very important for us to understand that, like Krishna says here, also that they go to respective planets. So if you do punya, if you worship that, so you have different demigods planets also, Indralok, Brahmalok, all these, right? So you go to these, but as soon as you finish your account there, you have to come back to Earth, and it's only Krishna's planet where once you go, you don't have to come back to this birth and death cycle into this material world. Yeah, because demigod themselves have a tenure. And we learned this in Srimad Bhagavatam, how the calculation, of this whole thing, how many years of demigod's life, it is extensive there compared to our number of years we live. But at the end of it, we have to come down. So why to put effort in something which is again temporary? We should put effort in something which is permanent, so that we don't have to undergo this, we cannot get up in the morning, we have hand pain, headache, children are this, all the, issues we have in a day-to-day life, right? So with that said, and demigod worship was also, see, we have to understand that we as devotees, we should not be disrespecting demigods. Yeah. The problem, we have to have the right consciousness, to approach the demigod. It's not the demigods who are problematic. It's our consciousness which is problematic. Yeah, we should worship demigods with the mindset to asking to become pure in our bhakti. So that we become higher devotee like them. They are higher devotees as well, right? That's why they are there, right? So to bestow us to do more bhakti to Krishna, right? That should be our approach, right? And yeah, I mean, we see in Srimad Bhagavatam the story also that gopis also approach Katyayani, goddess. But why? Because they wanted Krishna as their husband. So your goal is, when you even worship the demigods, your goal should be to get Krishna, in that. So prayers to demigods should be kept with Krishna as our desire. That should be the approach. Because we should always, we should never forget that they are higher devotees as well. And they are, and if they are at that level, we have to request for them to grant us to be at least, a steady and have that faith on Krishna, to develop that bhakti for Krishna. Yeah. So and that we give that as an example that we have to, if we water the roots, the whole tree will get nourished, right? But if you water just a branch or just a leaf, particular, it is not. The root is Krishna. If you water the root, everybody gets, all the demigods will be happy because they know Krishna is the supreme. Okay, so moving to the next shloka. Yeah, I think this is just a revision kind of a thing, what we have discussed so far, so that we have everything in one place. So the first one is diverse destinations, right? We learned that. If you are, even demigods have their own planets, but all the demigod planets also, we should be clear, falls within this material world. Yeah. So it is not permanent, right? So if we are doing, Brahma Puja, we go to Brahmalok, something like that. Indra is Indralok. So it's like if we are taking, we give in this as an example that if I'm taking a ticket for travel to Bangalore, I'll go to Bangalore. We can only go Bangalore. We cannot go beyond, right? So we have to put the effort to get that beyond. Only then we'll be able to go beyond. And temporary, we learned the positions of the demigods are itself temporary. We learned this very clearly in Srimad Bhagavatam again, that Brahma, Indra, all these are posts. They are post. Yeah. And every, yuga, there will be, every cycle, there will be a person who is eligible, who has accounted for so many, pious activities, will get that position. It's position. It's not that one Brahma is there all the time. No. Right? These are positions based on your pious activities, you get that. Okay. So, and demigods are nothing but like Krishna's limbs, right? It's like prime minister versus the different state ministers, right? So, root versus the branches, right? And then non-intelligent people, worshippers of demigod, are ignorant of this relationship, and they worship demigods as independent of Krishna. And this is also one of the offenses, right, which we read, one of the 10 offenses, major offenses, that treating demigods equal to Krishna. It is a papa, right? It is an offense. So those exceptions who worship with correct understanding that they are limbs of Supreme Lord obtain infinite eternal results. So we have to approach demigods the right. Yeah, we should never disrespect them. Yeah? Okay, so now with this demigod worship, now we move to impersonalist, right? So impersonalists are those who think that the absolute truth is impersonal. It does not have a form. Okay, it's devoid of form here. That's what is next. Attributes, and that is temporarily takes a personal form as Krishna. They think Krishna is, yes, somebody who has taken a temporary form, but higher than Krishna form is the impersonal form. Krishna is a personal form. That's why we say supreme personality of God. Personality. Krishna is a person. It has a form. He has a form, right? They consider forms and activities of Krishna to be illusionary, Maya. Hence, they are called Mayavadis. So they are like the lowest class because Mayavadis are those who think that Krishna is, yes, he is a person who has a bit of extra powers with him than us, but he is also under the influence of these three modes of material nature, which is Maya. So that is their thought process, which is not right. So it is, yeah, again an offense, to think that way also. Now, that's why Krishna is calling these demigod worshippers. He at least gave them little bit credit that they have small intelligence, but impersonal, he is calling unintelligence. They don't have any level of intelligence. So I will maybe ask Reshma Mataji, will you be able to read this?
Yes, Mataji. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavamajananto mama vyaya manuttamamam. Intelligent, unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality due to their small knowledge. They do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. Bhagavad Gita 7.24.
Thank you. Yeah, so abuddhaya, right? Unintelligent. They are completely unintelligent. Yeah. So they think Krishna was impersonal before, and maybe for a time being he has come into a personality form, and then again, he'll become impersonal. So they think that this whole absolute truth is impersonal. There is no person associated with it. Yeah. So Krishna is saying they do not understand his higher nature. Yeah. Krishna, which is imperishable. So they don't believe. Actually, they don't believe Krishna as God. Yeah. Nor they believe that God has a personal form. They think this prakriti, right? It's like impersonal. It does not have any form. God doesn't have a form at all. Yeah. And like I said, their thought process is that Krishna is, yes, he is an extraordinary being, nothing more than that. He is also like us. His body is not transcendental, and he undergoes all the process of birth, old age, death, all that cycle. Yeah. So, and this is nicely given as with an example, where Krishna states that he reserves the right to reveal. He does not reveal to foolish people. He reveals himself only to intelligent people, right? He has mentioned this before also, right? Intelligent people understand, right? So with maybe this shloka, Shivani Mataji, are you around? Can you read this? Maybe we'll come back. Hari Krishna Prabhuji, can you read this shloka?
Yeah, yes, Mataji. This is 20.
It is 25.
Fifth. Aham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samasvrutaha vrutaha modoyam nabijanati loka mama janma vyayam naham prakashah sarvasya. I am not manifested to everyone always like the sun. Yogamaya vrutaha. I am covered by my internal potency like the cloud. Mudoyam nabijanati. Therefore, the foolish people do not know that. Loko mama jamavyayam. I am unborn and infallible.
Thank you. Yes, so Krishna is clearly stating here that he has the right. Well, he's the supreme person. He's being so merciful to us. So, but he has one condition, that he reveals himself only to devotees who surrender, not to everybody. There was a story which I remember now. I was listening to Nitai Sevini Mataji's lecture, and she was giving a story about a donkey and a tiger. You know, in a forest, they are talking to each other, and the donkey says, you know, the grass is looking beautiful, and the tiger says, yes, you know, it's fresh and it's beautiful. And then the donkey says, you know, yeah, the blue color suits very well. And the tiger is like, what? It's not blue, it's green. You know, and then they start arguing with each other. And then they, you know, they argue so much, it's causing disturbance to the whole, you know, animal kingdom there. So they go to the king, you know, which is lion, right? And then the donkey says, you know, this tiger is troubling me a lot. He's eating my brain a lot. You know? So the lion asks, what happened? So the tiger says, you know, this donkey, he's saying that the grass is blue. And the donkey says, yes, I'm saying, telling him, you know, I'm explaining that the grass is blue. And but tiger is, you know, eating my brain, saying it's green. Then the lion says, you know, to donkey that, so you think that the grass is blue? The donkey says yes. So the lion says, yes, if you think so, yes, it is blue. And the donkey feels very happy, and you know, the lion gives the punishment to tiger now, that, you know, you are not gonna, you know, harm anything, you know, for eating, for satisfying yourself for next 2 days. That's your punishment. Now the donkey is super happy. He goes back into the forest, and the tiger waits there until everybody disperses. And he's perplexed, and he asks the lion, you know, why did you say that? Do you think, is it my eyes? You know, is the grass blue? The lion says, the grass is green. Then the tiger says, why did you then, you know, punish me? Then the lion says that I punished you because you are an intelligent being. You wasted your time behind a person who is, you know, unnecessarily getting into things which is not right. So you are intelligent, donkey is not. So he has the tendency to do that, but you don't have the tendency. You know, you should use your intelligence, that not waste your time with unnecessary people. So that's the, you know, story of it. So don't waste time. You know, if you see a non-devotee who is arguing, I mean, it's like, yes, you know, intelligence is somewhere, you know, you only, there's a point of making somebody understand who wants to. If somebody purposely doesn't want to, it's waste of your time. And you as a devotee should know where you should invest your time, you know, very wisely. Yeah. So Krishna is saying that he reserves the right to reveal himself. He does not reveal himself to anybody other than devotees, and only to devotees because they surrender to him. Ye yatha mam prapadyanti, 4.11 verse. He says, as you surrender, I will reciprocate. Right? So here the example is like sun is in the sky, and it is covered by clouds. And our vision, when we look at it, it is covered by clouds, right? Sun here is like Krishna. Cloud is like Maya, right? And we are the observer, you know? So cloud of Maya is, if we are not able to see Krishna, why? Because the cloud of Maya is covering our vision. Just because it is covering our vision doesn't mean that the sun does not exist. It is covered by clouds, literally, you know? You might see that at a certain time point in this place, if I'm sitting few kilometers down the lane or even few meters down the lane, a person could see the sun without being covered by cloud, right? So it's like when we are not able to see Krishna, that means we are covered, the Maya is covering it. But doesn't mean that, you know, sun is covered by Maya. So Krishna is not covered by Maya. That's what is Krishna saying here from the previous verse. He can never be covered by Maya, because he clearly stated in 7.14, Daivihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durutte. This material nature is under me. You know, only if we surrender to Krishna, you know, then we will overcome this material nature. Then how can material nature be covering Krishna? Right? If the solution is to get rid of this material nature by surrendering to Krishna, then it cannot happen that the Krishna is under material nature. So material nature is subordinate. Maya is subordinate of Krishna. Okay, and we learned that, right, in last class, the mechanic example, where it's our own car, but when it is broken down, we cannot understand what is happening with our car, right? And then when we go to the mechanic, he just hears the same noise as us from the car. He feels the car same. He starts the car the same way, but still he is able to rectify the problem for us, right? Why? Because he has the right training and right knowledge to just understand that concept, right? So that is very important, right? If we have the right training, right knowledge, then we will understand Krishna. Then that cloud of Maya will not cover us. Yeah. So with that, I think we'll move further. The last section of 8th chapter, which is moving from delusion, which is caused by Maya, to devotion to Krishna. Yeah. Now, this shloka, I think Shivani Mataji tried to unmute herself.
No, I will read this, Nikita Mataji.
Okay, yeah.
Krishna knows past, present, and future. Vedaham samiti tani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, O Arjuna, and all things in the future. I also know all living entities, but no one knows me. Thank you.
Thank you. So we learned this before, right? Krishna is Trikalagnya. What does that mean? He knows the past, present, and future. And Krishna, how clear more can Krishna get for us? Tell me. He's clearly stating here that he knows there are so many concepts which he's clearing so well, right, in this chapter. And that's why Bhakti Yoga is very interesting. Like he clarified what kind of intelligence do demigod worshippers have, impersonalists have. What is the role of material nature? Is it above him, below him, right? And then, whether he knows the past, present, and future. He also highlighted this in the 4th chapter, right? And Krishna is saying this, why? He's saying this to clarify, if he was also covered by Maya, then how would he know all about everything? Past, present, and future, and about everyone, right? In 4th chapter, he told Arjuna that, you have taken many births, but you don't remember all of them, but I remember all of them. He clearly said that to Arjuna also. So he is all knower. He's omniscient. Omniscient is someone who knows past, present, and future, right? Versus us. So if I ask some of you 2 days back, what did you have for lunch? Can you remember? At least one of you. It's taking time, right? And it takes time for us for everything, believe me. And that's why Krishna says, your intelligence in man is also me. That's what he said in last class. Ability in a man is also me. But we, as humans, we are given this platform as a chance to go back to Krishna to do bhakti. But what we do, we are busy with everything else which attracts us, right? We don't want to utilize that. We like it. So quite a lot of times we see, we like it to do bhakti. But there are things around us, surroundings, which drag us very badly, right? And that's what Arjuna asked in 2nd chapter. What is it which drags me? In 3rd chapter, sorry. And Krishna highlights it's lust, right? It's that attachment to sense gratification, which drags us away from Krishna, right? So, and how can we do that? Again and again, reminding us, pulling us ourselves back. How do we solve a max sum? Let me give you an example. So any subject, say, but max is an ideal example I can take. Our children, say at certain level, my child, he's not very good in maths. Okay. Now, what do I as a mother tell him? Mama, this is difficult. So what I'll say him? Well, do it again and again. Keep practicing again and again. Only when you practice again and again, you will be reaching a point when you will do it deeper, right? And that is what we need. We have to practice it again and again. It is not something you do it once and you get it. No. That practice, that pulling back our mind, it is needed, right? So coming back to this verse, we can get that in mind, that if Krishna knows the future, then why can't he change the future? Right? There are so many calamities which happen. There are so many things which happen to us, which put us down, right? Then why we can't, why is he not changing that for me? See, we have to remember that Krishna is not a dictator. He is not a dictator. He gives us that free will. He wants us to choose, make our right choices. And when you make the choice, you face consequences, then we have to learn from that, right? So from our mistakes, based on our choice. So sometimes it's also for him, sometimes we see that, why Krishna says here, for example, nobody knows me, right? He says that I know everything which is happening in past, present, future, right? But he says that still nobody knows me. Why? The answer is in next verse. Yeah. So 7.27, why no one knows Krishna? Because we know the answer. Why we are not able to surrender him, know him? Because of the delusion and dualities of dishonor, honor, misery, happiness, woman, man, good, bad, pleasure, pain. All these are going on, right? Difficulties, these dualities. All living entities, Krishna is saying delusion of jivas, right? All living entities are born into delusion, sammoham, at the beginning of the creation, and are bewildered by dualities, dvanda mohan, yeah, arising from desire and hatred, continuing from previous life. Yeah, the delusion is the reason we came to this world also. Because Krishna is so, he's not dictating, he's not ruling us. No, I am telling you this, you have to do this. No, he gives us the free will. And with that free will, we wanted to be independent with him. That's why we came down to earth, right? To this planet. Because we wanted to be independent from him. Yeah? And it's dualities, like, it's too hot today, I cannot chant. I cannot go to temple. I cannot serve. It's too cold today, I cannot do the same thing. My mood is really bad, something bad happened to me, something good happened to me. We are always in this cycle, because we never, if we like something which we want to get, we are trapped in a way. Until we don't get that, we are trapped. Yeah, we either like something, we don't like something. So this is like most of the times, you see, we don't like something which is ultimately good for us, and we always tend to like doing something which is ultimately not very beneficial for us. For example, we love to see, when we see the junk food on the streets, we love to have them, right? Even though we know we might have health issues, we might have diabetes, we might have cholesterol, but we know it's not good, still we attempt to do it, right? We don't like healthy stuff because it's good for us, right? We don't like, yeah. Well, somebody is watching something on the mobile, we get attracted with that. Even though we know what we are doing right now, let me focus on that, because this, I have to finish this. No, we tend to grab, right? Same thing, so we need to go beyond this. We have to bring ourselves back. We need to go beyond this, distractions. Yeah. And Krishna, sammoham is the word very important here, right? Because that is what delusion is causing us, along with dualities, dvanda mohena, yeah? That moha, right? That attachment. Now in next verse, Krishna explains to us how to get out of this sammoha, right? How? Devotion, yeah, by determination. We are learning again, determined bhakti. Krishna has highlighted this before also, right? We took the example of that sparrow, how determined the sparrow was. It gave dhamki to that ocean, that I will dry you up if you don't give my eggs back to me, right? And the ocean and everybody were laughing at this sparrow. what are you saying? You little sparrow, how can you dry me, ocean? But at the end, what happened? Garuda came. And just by the presence of Garuda, that is Krishna sending help. Just by seeing that presence itself, the ocean was like they gave back the eggs to the sparrow, right? So determined bhakti is the key for us to get out of that delusion. Yeah. So, Jyoti Mataji, will you be able to read?
Yes, Mataji. Determined bhakti, yesha twanta gata papa janana punya karma lama te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante ma dृढ़ vrata. Just a second. Person who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful action are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Bhagavad Gita 7.28.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
So, here, Dvanda Moha is again coming in, that word, right? Dvanda Moha Nirmukta. Bhajante Mam, Dhradavarta. Bhajante word is again used, right? Prabhupada, last class we said how beautifully he has explained in his purport the word bhajante, bhajan, right? What does that mean? How transcendental devotional service by us to Krishna. Just not saying I believe in Krishna, I have faith, and just sit right there. No, performing that service to Krishna, right? Now, this verse is very important, and maybe it might encourage us also, because Krishna highlights here persons who have acted piously in previous lives and then this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in bhakti, right? So, and we learned, right? Karma, vikarma, akarma. What is it which brings the stability? If you do karma also, you have to come back to face those good deeds. Vikarma, though, you have to come back only, right? But akarma is something which is, as you do, the karma and vikarma goes down. And the akarma is something which is for Krishna, right? You're doing something for Krishna. It is transcendental, right? So the karma also and the vikarma also, as they come down, they even out. That's what Krishna is saying. Then you reach a stage where you are doing akarma, and that account is pretty much neutralized, and then you can really engage yourself in Krishna bhakti, right? So it's a very important verse for us to understand that as we do this, there is a light in the tunnel's end, right? Then we'll be able to see sinful reactions completely can be eradicated by how? By following the 4 regulative principles. And mind you, these 4 regulative principles are not coming from just Prabhupada is not just saying this. These are coming from Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam has these 4 regulative principles. Yeah. And if we follow the 4 regulative principles, then you will get free from sinful activities. Okay. Then we will be able to perform more pious activities. And also our sadhana, will allow us to get rid of these sinful activities, right? And practice devotional activities. Okay. Now you will see, it's like you might be spending hours together watching a cricket match. Yeah, before what the matches are, what 4 to 5 hours or something. My knowledge is not very good in it because I don't watch them, but yeah, they are pretty much long duration. Right? We have to channelize ourselves as bhaktas to really value our time. Like instead of, yes, if you're really prone to it, your starting step maybe should be, instead of watching the whole cricket match, you can watch the highlights, which gives you a good feel as what happened, right? So it's like gradually getting ourselves up there, right? So this is what we have to do. Keep doing our following the regulative principles, and our sadhana to get rid of the sinful activities. Until and unless we get rid of these sinful activities, we cannot perform pious activities. You know, that account. Yeah, we have to be determined, and we have to be steady, right? Coming into Krishna consciousness, sometimes it's very easy. The most difficult thing is to maintain the stability. We have to be steady, right? So next two verses now, yeah, just concluding that only when we are steady and determined in our bhakti, the bhakti fire is lit within us, it will purify us completely, you know, and then we will come to that platform. Okay, so now these two verses are actually giving these are the last two verses of the chapter, and these are nothing but seed verses. Like you can see, sixth chapter, the seed verse gave the fifth chapter seed verse was sixth chapter. So at the conclusion of each chapter, you will see that the prior two verses are seed verses for the next chapter to start. You know, so now this one, 29th and 30th shloka. 29th shloka is Mokshkami Bhakta, intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death. Take refuge in me in devotional service. Mam Ashritya. Mam again, yeah, to Krishna. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Yeah. Now, in the next shloka, Krishna is saying, those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of material manifestation, Adi Bhuta, of the demigods, Adi Daivam, and all methods of sacrifice, Adi Yagna, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death, Prayana Kale. Now, these are the three things, right? Adi Adhyatma, Adi Bhuta, Adi Daivam, right? These are the three kind of sufferings in this material world. Adhyatma is sufferings which are caused by our own self, health issues, all of that. Yeah? Adi Bhuta is suffering which are caused by things around us. Yeah. And Adi Devik is which are caused by demigods, right? Like the hurricanes, you know, all the natural calamities. Right. So what 29 shloka Krishna is saying is, he's talking about moksha kami bhakt. Moksha means liberation. Kami means, you know, the person who wants liberation. That kind of a bhakta. Now, this chapter, when you go back into our previous verses also, when we went through those four types of supritinas, four people who surrender to Krishna, right? This chapter overall gives us different kinds, explains us different kinds, you know, like mokshkami bhakta are the bhakta who are, you know, endeavoring for liberation, right? Those four supritinas, artho, arthartho, right? Jignaso, right? Though artho are the one who are distressed and they want to go to Krishna thinking he's the only person who can help me because I'm really saddened or distressed, right? And arthartho are the one who desire wealth, material opulence. They also go to Krishna, right? These are all what karma mishra bhakti, right? They mishra bhakti means a combination. You know, they want results, right? Out of that, they are going for Krishna with something, right? So it is like a mishra bhakti, right? It is not pure bhakti, it is a mishra bhakti, right? And then the other fourth class in that supritina was artho, arthato, jignaso, jnani, right? Jnani is jnan mishra bhakti, right? For all these, the percentage of bhakti is more, but there is a tinge percentage of either, you know, fruits or you know, gyan is, you know, that you know, or moksha. There's a desire, right, related. So it's not, but a pure bhakta does not desire anything from Krishna, but just Krishna's love and pleasure. That is a pure bhakta, right? So these, in the 30th shloka, when we see all these factors, right, all what we have highlighted here, adhyatmam, adi bhuta, adi daivam, adi yagna, prayana kali, all these are the words. There are 6, you know, terms here which Krishna will start the next chapter explaining what are each of these terms. Yeah, because Arjuna asks when Krishna mentions this shloka, what does this mean? And Krishna picks up each word and he explains all these in 8th chapter starting. 8th chapter, like we can see, time of death, Prayanakale. 8th chapter is titled as attaining the supreme, because that chapter talks about what should be our consciousness at the time of death. Very important for us to know, you know. So it talks about Prayanakala, and death is something we are all fearful about, right? We are all. So how to win over that, right? How to be in what consciousness should we be at the time of death, right? So with that said, overall, you know, this chapter, we learned, I think, you know, bhakti is simple, but still it is difficult, you know, because it needs, for example, learning Bhagavad Gita, it needs patience and humility, you know, that humility to accept Krishna's teaching, you know. And Krishna in this chapter gives us an insight, very beautiful thing, that how we can see Krishna everywhere, how we can feel his presence everywhere, and how he's available, you know, he's all pervasive, right? Like you see water, it should remind us for Krishna how merciful he is. Without water we couldn't even live. You know, everything around us, it is. And then other thing we also see is selflessness. Why he said Jnani out of those 4 Sukrutinas is that because Jnani approaches Krishna as a matter of duty. Selflessness, that is the key. Krishna gets attracted by selflessness, no selfish desires. Yeah, so we have to try, you know, to be selfless. Yeah? They are closer to Krishna's heart, devotees, because they are selfless. Yeah? So and we have to come out of our mood swings. I like this, I don't like this, I can't do this, I can't do that, you know. So we have to try to come out of those dualities, you know. If they don't like something, you know, we shouldn't immediately reject, you know. So it's like you need to go think beyond just at the platform of liking and disliking to progress in our devotional life. Yeah. So with that, we conclude this chapter today, and maybe I can open